Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for all joining us today for Tierra Grande's annual meeting. I would like to first introduce the board. We have Trenton Moore, and then our accountant, Baldwin, Mike Sumner, Jim Lardner, Richard Moore, and our accountant too, George Hobbs, who we won't let go. I would like to take a moment to pay respects to the memory of Judy Magnuson. Judy worked hard to support you by serving on the board of Tierra Grande directors for over 18 years. Judy was on the Architectural Control Chair and served in positions from treasurer, president, vice president, secretary, and director. Judy loved Tierra Grande and her many contributions to support the integrity and mission of Tierra Grande Improvement Association. Judy will truly be missed and very hard to replace. Another person who has served as a cornerstone to our organization is Mr. George Hobbs, TGIA's accountant for over 35 years. Wow. George kept us on the straight and narrow financially. His knowledge of nonprofits helped us traverse through the IRS requirements for an entity such as ours. While George officially retired from service as our accountant at the end of 2023, he continues to support our efforts. His willingness to answer questions on financial issues related to TGIA, and he's here today to serve as the chair of the ballot committee. We cannot thank him enough for his guidance and expertise. Thank you so much, George. Today, we like to also recognize Mike Sumner, a person that we are very grateful for. Mike is celebrating 30 years of service on the TGIA board. Mike has served as president, vice president, secretary, and director. His experience in financial matters has helped Tierra Grande become fiscally strong and responsible. We could not have a better guide along the way. It may interest you to know that Mike's main reason for joining TGIA's board back in 1994 was the interest in protecting our bighorn sheep population. A successful venture to him this day. On behalf of Tierra Grande and the bighorn sheep, for his leadership and dedication, we present to you this gift. This is one of Kim Pravada's beautiful photos. Thank you, Mike, so much for your service.
Thank you.
Last year, we asked our members to prioritize matters before Tierra Grande. In your packet, there is a copy of the members' responses to the annual packet you were provided. A brief update we'll go over a brief update as to the member surveys and what we've done to try to improve and support the things that members would like to see Tierra Grande do. One of the biggest questions, or one of the biggest items on the survey was to create water supply tanks in strategic areas in TGIA for the use of the fire department to fight fires, home fires, and wildfires. 91% of the members said this was a big issue in Tierra Grande. TGIA has purchased property with a well at the intersection of Military Highway and Del Bablo as the first phase of the endeavor. Fencing of the lot will begin in the next few weeks. Pricing for the tank, solar pump, fire hydrant has been obtained. It is hoped that the well will be up and in operational use before the end of the year. TGIA owns property at Fresnada Loop off of Diablo near the foothills. SunZia, the transmission line company, has agreed to have a drill drilled at no cost to TGIA. The well drillers are hard to find, and even then, they are running months behind in their work. So it has taken us a long time. We're trying to get the wells drilled, but we're on a waiting list. So we should have 2 wells hopefully up and running before the end of the year. Fencing of the lot on the other property will begin in the next few months also. And pricing for a tank, solar pump, and a fire hydrant has been attained. Discussions with the Valencia County Road Department, Wildland Fire, and the Rio Communities Fire Department regarding mutual aid agreements for road maintenance and fire suppression will be forthcoming. We feel this will really help the county with our road maintenance whenever they don't have to come in and truck water, and it'll help for fire suppression. They can come fill their trucks. We'll have a mutual agreement hopefully in place to help them be able to not have to travel miles to get water and have it just readily available on site. So I think that's very exciting. Discussions with the Valencia County Road Department, Wildfire, and the Rio Communities Fire Department regarding the mutual aid agreements, needs, and suppression will be forthcoming. It's our hope that these hydrants, tanks, once in operation, will help homeowners with the cost of homeowners insurance. Another item on our survey was to partner with an internet provider to provide a cost-effective, quality internet services in our community. 87% of the members said this is a priority we need to work on. Transworld Network has been working with us, the last 2 years to bring a tower to our community to serve residents in the foothills. Socorro Electric is partnering with the company Red Bolt to bring broadband internet to the rural area. The plan is strong. Well, the plan will string the broadband lines alongside the current power lines. Socorro Electric Co-op has started in the southeastern area of the coverage territory. We hope to hear something for our community within the next year or 2 on the progression of the trans internet lines. The next question was on our survey that got a big response was enhance TGIA's website, and 77% of people said they would like to see that. Many enhancements have been made to our website. Ron will speak on those later on. If a fire station is not feasible, we're gonna explore possibilities. Well, last year we were looking at the fire station and the state changed the rules. We weren't able to put the fire station in. We started since that wasn't feasible, we asked if they would like the members explore the possibility of moving Tierra Grande's office to the community room closer to TGIA main interest on Mutlet and Highway 47. 70% of the members voted yes on that. The TGIA board has discussed the possibility of moving Tierra Grande's office and potential community room closer to TGIA, main interest on Millette. Between the cost of construction, ongoing maintenance, increased property taxes, insurance cost, and the increased risk of break-ins when the office is closed, it does not seem that might be the best interest for TGIA. The board would rather use those funds in ways to improve our community at large, such as open space protection, entrance beautification, road improvement grants to Valencia County for replacement of the cattle guard at Manzanita, and for improvements to Millette Drive using the experimental binding product called Primazine and fire suppression efforts. Trenton, our director, will speak more on this topic and the efforts to beautify our entrance later in the meeting. On the survey, it also asked to meet with local realtors to promote TGIA. 71% voted yes. Sue has met with local realtors representing Rio Communities, Belen, Los Lunas. TGIA has joined the Greater Belen or Valencia County Chamber of Commerce. These realtors and Chamber of Commerce have been provided brochures about our community. The Chamber distributes our for sale by owner catalog through their website and e-blast. Create brochures showing the benefit of moving to TGIA community. 64% of the members thought this was a priority. Along with updating TGIA's logo, the installation of new billboards and updated website, and the TGIA brochure has been updated and distributed. Each of you have a copy of the brochure included in your meeting packet. Sue will go over some of the information in the brochure during her presentation. TGIA has also taken on a task of printing the newsletters in-house, which has saved over $6,000 annually. So we're always looking at ways to improve and save. TGIA promotional video. 60% or 62% of the members thought this would be a good idea. The board discussed the possibility of updating TGIA's promotional video. Sue and Ron have been monitoring the number of times the current video on our website has been accessed. There appears to be little interest from the public. Therefore, currently, a video is not being considered. The other question on the survey was increasing funding for grants or adding new grants. 55% voted yes, this would be something good. The board is in the process of reviewing and updating grants. Some grants, such as the road improvement grant, may be limited to one time per owner. The conservation grant was been split into two separate grants. One for solar power conservation and the other one for water conservation. No change in the grant amount is expected. The biggest change will be in the power line extension grant. Instead of the grant being based on the number of lots being improved, it will be based on the number of utility poles needed to reach a destination. Any and all of these changes will be provided to the members either through an email notification or on TGIA's website. Members will have 15 days to review, comment on the proposed changes. Nothing ever seems as easy as it is. The board of directors has done its best interest to our members, and keep in mind and will continue to move forward to achieve the goals that you have set are important to the community. Any questions will be taken at the close of business. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jim Lardner for our treasurer's report.
Good morning. There we go. Hi, good morning. My name is Jim Lardner. I'm the treasurer of Tierra Grande. I was appointed to this position in I guess, late December when we lost our good friend and treasurer, Judy Magnuson. Can everybody hear me? No. How about, is this better? In short, as the treasurer, I help oversee, kind of audit the books on basically a monthly basis. I go in and I meet with Sue and we go through, what the bank tells us we've got, what we show we've got, and make sure everything reconciles accordingly. And then go through expenses, go through the budget, take a look at what's happening. And then on a monthly basis, we present this to the board. In short, Tierra Grande is in very good financial shape. The board does a great job of holding expenses down and doing what we can to keep things rolling. So, in short, assessment revenue must cover our day-to-day operational costs. Assessments and interest revenue are estimated to be around $193,500. If you look at your, there's a handout that was given. So that $193,500 is what we're budgeting for 2024 for our revenues. And then our operating expenses are budgeted around $197,500. Leaving a budget deficit for 2024 of about $4,000. Now, these are just budget estimates, so things can change throughout the year, but this is where our budget sits today. One of the crazy increases that we've seen for 2024, if you look down your sheet, is our insurance has gone crazy. Any of you that own a home, own a car, own a business, whatever it is, if you're insuring it, insurance rates have gone through the roof. And Tierra Grande, our open space is what drove that insurance to go up so dramatically. Over $33,000 it went up just this year. We don't know what it's going to do next year. We are hoping that it doesn't go up anymore. And if anybody's wondering, we shopped our insurance rates. The next lowest rate that we got, there was a lot of people who wouldn't even look at us. And the next rate we got was over $114,000, which would have really dramatically, we're lucky we got the rate we did. We're still working on that, and hopefully this coming year we can get people that will give us at least a better rate, or we'll get more people bidding on our business. Over the past few years, and especially last year, the association has had an influx of cash from the Sunzia and Rio del Sol projects on the south end of the open space and in the canyon area. These large cash infusions, for the most part, have ended. We don't see any more easements going through those areas. Other revenue streams other than assessment revenue come from interest on savings and investments, tower site rent, grazing leases, HOA fees and fines, and every now and then when Tierra Grande sells a lot. These funds are used for funding grants, road projects, entrance beautification, and foreclosures. One thing that's very important is that government documents and IRS regulations are very clear. Tierra Grande Improvement Association is not a developer, okay? We are not developers. If we went into the development business, we could lose our tax exempt status. So right now, as it stands, we can only use about 10% of our assessment revenues on projects that may be considered improvements. What the board has done over the course of about the last year is we've broken out our budget into two different categories. So we have what's called a discretionary budget and one that's called a non-discretionary budget. So the non-discretionary budget is our day-to-day operating revenues and expenses. So if you take everything else away, just keeping the doors open, so the assessment revenue and any kind of fines that go with the assessment revenue, and then the operating expenses, so the salary for the staff, insurance. There's a whole litany of them on the front page. Rent, telephone, electricity, office operations, attorneys, accountants, audit review. Those are things that we need just to keep the doors open. So I'm sorry. Give me half a second here. So this is the non-discretionary budget. These are things that we have got to spend money on in order to keep Tierra Grande operating, and this is what your money goes towards. The discretionary income on the back is revenue from interest on investments, leases, miscellaneous fees, and easements. These revenues go toward discretionary expenses like fencing around our well projects, the well, power lines, updating office equipment, erosion control, beautification grants, and other land purchases. These expenses are all passed by the board of directors, are all approved and passed by the board of directors in our meetings. So if there's any questions about the budget, the discretionary and or non-discretionary, I'd be happy to talk to you about it either now or after the meeting today. Great, thank you very much.
Mr. Baldwin?
I'm not sure if I have to hold it, but I'll try my best here. So in your packets is it's a Tierra Grande Improvement Association financial statements. That works too, thank you. So my name is Lee Baldwin. I am an external accountant, so I'm not part of the association. Each year we come in, we review the financial statements. So part of what we do in the review, analyze current year, so in this case it is 2023, so December 31st, 2023. We compare it, analyze it, compare it to the prior year, 2022. And if there's any material adjustments that need to be made, if we do not feel the general ledger is recorded correctly, or if there was a transaction that was incorrectly recorded, then we recommend that there's a change that needs to be made. And for what we do, we reviewed the financial statements. There was no changes or material changes that we needed to make. So the financial statements are well organized. Financial information is accurate. All the questions we had, they were explained, and we were comfortable with that document. So I know Sue and George have provided information for us for a number of years. So there's never anything missing or anything that comes to concern. So I just wanted to point that out. What I'm going to do, look at the financial report. So we will start. You can follow along. Page 2 is the statement of financial position. So both of you, everyone here can see the numbers for 2023 and 2022. So what I'm going to do for each area, I'm just going to talk about the increase or the decrease from the prior year. So in this instance, cash and cash equivalents, you can see the balances. So looking at 2023 is $326,136. That's an increase of $42,525 from the previous year, and you can see the 2022 numbers. Certificates of deposit increased by $905,318. Assessments receivable increased by $7,824. Deferred charges related to foreclosed property. So if there is any land or that's being foreclosed on, their attorney charges the costs. So that go into that. So there was an increase of $16,414. Prepaid assets. So these are the insurance that gets paid up front. That was an increase of $35,649. Lease receivables, just a small change, so that was about a decrease of $3,000. Land held for investment, that decreased by $1,000. Land decreased by $14,000, so there was some land that was sold off. Property and equipment increased by $12,987, so there was some equipment that was purchased in 2023. Right to use assets, so that's the office space and the copier that is leased. So that increased, so there was a lease that was renewed, so that increased by $37,647. Accounts payable decreased by $3,192. And I mentioned, so lease liabilities, that's the same thing. So the office and the copier were renewed, so the remaining lease liability increased by $37,647. And deferred lease income decreased by $4,130. Net assets, that increased, we'll discuss that when we look at the income statement. So that increased by $1,035,950. We go over to page 3. So this is for a nonprofit organization, so there's 2 columns. You can see there's without donor restrictions and with donor restrictions. There's no restrictions on any funds that are received, so that's why there's no financial numbers in the with donor restrictions. So there's all funds received are without restrictions. So annual assessments, that you look at the balance for 2023, it actually decreased by $1,529. Looking at total expenses, you see the bottom number, $204,993. That increased by $100,559 from the previous year. I'll just point out some of the larger numbers. So depreciation, there was the new equipment that was purchased, so that was an increase of $9,774, whereas last year there was no equipment that was being depreciated. Salaries and directors' fees, that increased by $5,416. Office expenses increased by $8,385. Property maintenance increased by $8,746, and other operating and administrative expenses increased by $18,554. So we look at the total revenues and total expenses. So the operating income for the year was $2,592. So that is just the main revenue and expenses for the association. Below that is other. So this is non-regular income, so that's why that's not listed with the operating activities. So you can see here, the big one was the easements income. There was no easement income last year, and there was $987,395, and that's related to the two easements for the power lines. Interest and other income, that was actually increased of $17,604. So when you include the other income and expenses, there's actually an increase in your net assets of $1,035,950. And on page 5 is the statement of cash flows. It just shows where your cash is coming in and going out. We'll just look at the middle of the page, net cash provided by operating activities. So cash increased by $983,604 in 2023, whereas last year it only increased by $54,760. And the other area, investing activities. So that's in this case, there's a purchase of property and equipment. That caused cash to decrease by $36,761. And reinvested earnings, so once a certificate of deposit expires, it gets reinvested, so another certificate is acquired. So that's why it shows an outgoing cash of $905,318. That just means additional CDs were renewed. And you can see increase of cash. Cash increased by 42,525. So cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year is $326,136. And if there's any questions or anything you'd like to discuss as you're reviewing this report, I'm available at the end of the board meeting as well, or annual meeting. All right, thank you.
All right, so my name's Trenton Moore, and I'm a member of the board here at Tierra Grande. I'm a resident of Tierra Grande, and I was kind of slated to talk about roads and entrance beautification, I guess is the word we're calling it. So a little back history on the roads in Tierra Grande. The roads in Tierra Grande are not owned by Tierra Grande, nor are they private to Tierra Grande. So the original developer, Horizon, back in 1973, dedicated those roads to the general public. And both Valencia County and Socorro County accepted those roads. That acceptance doesn't mean that they're going to maintain those roads. If you are an owner in Socorro County will not maintain any roads in Tierra Grande. Valencia County does from time to time. So by the county commission accepting these roads, once again, it doesn't mean that they're going to maintain them. And it doesn't mean that it's private to Tierra Grande residents. Now with that being said, Tierra Grande, with some extra cash flow, has added some grants to the county to do some improvements. One was an experiment with a product called Permazyme for the first mile of Millette. That's where we brought in Base Course, and they took a product and they sprayed it and they rolled it and they sprayed it and they rolled it, and that's why I think it was in June Millette was closed down for a while, was because it had to have 72 hours to cure. And we're ongoing going to investigate that and see how that worked out. But that was a grant that we provided the county to try to improve some of the roads with you guys that drive them on a daily basis. Another one is, like the president had spoke about before, the installation of a new cattle guard at Manzanita. And that's going to be in the coming months. You're going to start to see that probably get installed. And then we will continue looking at different areas at where we can improve, where we can maybe add another grant to help with these roads and see what works and what doesn't. We're continually looking at it, and we're hoping that by us helping the county and implementing these grants with the county, that they'll be more prone to help out. And I think once these wells go in and that certificate of agreement signed, and they'll be able to access water and not have to haul water, maybe we're going to see a little bit more action by the county to help out with that. And as far as beautification, like the president said, nothing's easy. That was a topic that was brought up on the questionnaire that was sent out to you guys, and there was a lot of people that wanted to see us do something with the entrances and beautify them slightly. There's a few problems with that. On the inside of the fence, it's owned by Tierra Grande residents. And on the highway side of the fence, it's owned by the state. So we're limited to an easement, which the county is okay with, the road easement. The roads are only about 24 foot wide. We have 60 feet to work with, but it's right on the fence line. So the entrances we have are kind of what we have to work with. Now, can we add some signs? Can we dress those up a little bit? There's some members of Tierra Grande that's volunteered to help maybe design some signs, make some signs, install signs, but we're limited to that fence line and to that easement that the county's okay with. Now, there's some things Tierra Grande has done. They've installed lights on most of the entrances. Millette had some lights installed, and in less than 24 hours they were stolen. So we put some different lights. They don't work quite like we want. So there's gonna be some newer lights going on there, and then there's also gonna be some lights installed at Borregos, and I've got it written here somewhere. Somewhere around Borregos. There's gonna be an entrance, there's gonna be some lights installed there. Now the county's telling us that the state may even frown upon that. But they're there, we put them in, we'll deal with that when we get there. So the biggest thing on the entrances and the beautification, if you guys have some ideas, some things that you'd like to see us do, we've talked about maybe planting some kind of shrubbery, maybe installing some larger rocks at the entrance. But then again, is the state, the county, any of that gonna work? So if you guys have ideas, we're open to listening to them. If you got questions, I'll be here after the meeting, or I'll take them now if you got them. Go ahead.
All right, you spent all this money on Millette Drive, and this is not the first time that the board has spent money on Millette Drive, which only benefits the privileged few that live on Millette Drive. We live off Diablo, all the way down in the southeast corner. 6 years ago, we had a storm that completely flooded out Diablo from the big curve all the way down to the highway. The ditches are full of sand, the road is choked with sand, and nobody's done a thing about it. Every time it rains, that road floods again. The sand gets so deep you can't go through it. I've gone down there with my tractor and bladed 2 miles of that road just to get the damn sand off so we can drive on it. So why, rather than beautifying entrances that we're perfectly happy with, why not throw a little money at the county and get in partnership with them to push the sand off the road and then clean out the ditches so that they don't flood anymore? This has been going on for years.
Okay,
But all
so,
you worry about is Millette Drive.
okay. So the idea behind Millette was, it was a trial product. So we did a small amount, and we did it in the most residential area to see what the road traffic would look like on this product, to see if it was gonna work. Now, we have got some rain, and those of you guys that looked at Millette, it hasn't worked perfectly. Because we're limited to what the county can do. Like I said, Tierra Grande doesn't own the roads, nor are they private to Tierra Grande. Now, we are limited to the amount of money that we can throw at that due to our tax exemption of being a nonprofit. If we just dump a bunch of money at that, it's gonna cause some issues. Now, like I said, we're open for suggestions, and if some of those suggestions say the area you're speaking about really needs to be looked at, and you have some ideas that you would like to see, then throw them out to us.
I've been living on that road since before it was ever a road. I can tell you what the road needs. The county's got a bunch of freaking idiots down there.
And we can't control that, sir. We're Tierra Grande. I don't work for the county.
Yeah, but you.
And the county
you can
doesn't
do-
work for me.
You can do something to coordinate something with the county, as you've done on Millette Drive.
Yes, sir.
Has Tierra Grande ever
I'm sick of that
talking
damn
about culverts? If you had culverts at certain locations under the road, across roads, the drainage would not wash the road out, it would go through the culvert and into the ditch.
So that's something that has been discussed. Like I said, I don't run the county, I don't work for the county. We are limited to what we can get the county to do. We can't get in a grader and do it ourselves. But yes, it is something that we have discussed.
Put some money towards the county.
Oh,
for
sure,
culverts.
for sure,
I
for
mean,
sure.
I'm sure there's engineering and all that goes with that. You know, it's not just as simple as throwing a pipe in the ground.
And that's that continual grants that we're talking about. We're gonna start working on trying to get that done with the water and the things that we're gonna be able to implement. We're hoping that the county's gonna be a little more positive and start working on those things, rather than just come scrape the sand off of it and go on.
They don't
Let's-
scrape the sand off, they pile it back on again.
Well, they don't do a good job. We agree
No,
with
they
that.
do not.
But we're gonna work on that. We're gonna continue to try to develop those grants, work with the county, and get a little bit more positive outcome for you guys
Well, I
as
would think
residents.
that that's your job and the board's job. That's what you're supposed to do for us.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question in regards to Cattle Guard. When the state went in and redid Highway 60, they installed new cattle guards to all of those spaces going down 60 from 47 to the interstate. Why are they not paying for the cattle guards for Tierra Grande when we're off of 47?
Agreed. Why aren't they? And if it was left to them, it probably wouldn't get done. But once again, Tierra Grande is saying, okay, there may be an issue here, so if you'll help us, we'll help you to get these Tierra
One's
Grande.
a US highway, the other one's a state highway. That's the
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
But yes, ma'am, I recognize, yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, that answers the question. There's a difference between the designation of the highways.
Yeah.
You know, that makes some kind of sense. Not much, because it is government, so.
Any more questions? Like I said, if you guys have ideas, you'd like to see some things done, please send that to Sue in an email, put it in writing, and like I said, we pass it on to the county. What you guys say, what is said, what we discuss, we pass that along to the county, and what they do with it, our hands are kind of tied after that point.
What about things like putting in culverts? Is that the county or is that TGIA?
That would be the county. If it has to do with the road, it would be the county. And if
Can
it's inside that
TGIA pay
easement,
for the material
we could.
and have the county do it?
if they'll do it. The problem is, and this is their thing, they say we have Valencia County, Tierra Grande isn't the only community we have in
Oh, I know
Valencia
that.
County.
I've heard
And
that crap from them.
there is, well, we only have one grader, we don't have any operators.
Yeah.
It's
They got
political, to say the
excuses for
least.
everything.
So, yeah.
Well, how is it then, 30 years ago, we had Jimmy McKinley out here building the roads and then maintaining them, and then all of a sudden, it was stopped.
I can't speak to that because I wasn't here, so I couldn't answer that question.
Well, none of you were here then, as far as I know. If it weren't for that, most of these roads wouldn't even be roads right now. I think you guys can do a lot more in helping to get these roads in decent condition than you've been doing.
Okay. So I appreciate your comments and your concerns, and you are a resident of Tierra Grande, correct?
32-year resident.
Okay, so next year, there will be a board position open up for a resident in Tierra Grande.
A what?
A board position open for a resident in Tierra Grande. There will be a position open next year. Put your name in there to get on the board and help us with these things.
Oh, yeah,
That's
well, what
it's
about the proxy vote? Seems to me you all have a proxy vote, do you know?
I'm telling you, I know 100% fact, there will be a board position open next year. Get in there. It's for the residents of Tierra Grande. If you want to see change, you got to be the change you want to see. You got to put your hat in the ring and you got to try. Believe me, from the outside looking in, things work a lot differently than once you're behind the table and you're up against the county and up against the state and up against this and that. Things don't flow as smoothly as you'd like them to flow. I agree with you. There is always room for improvement. We're trying to improve those suggestions, and I appreciate your suggestion. Those suggestions are what we're looking for as a board to try to help them and make the best decisions that we can. And I'm sorry you probably didn't get the answers you wanted, but those are the answers I have.
No. I don't know, I just see the county doing amazing things to other roads around here, but the few of us that live down off of Diablo, we don't get nothing. They don't even come down and grade our road when they grade the rest of them. We're lucky if they touch our road every 6 months.
Sir, these are not
these are things, these are things that you're talking about that the board of directors of Tierra Grande can do nothing about.
I don't believe that.
You as a taxpayer and a resident of Valencia County, I don't know how many times you've been on the phone with them, or gone to county meetings or anything else. That's really where it needs to be voiced. They are the owners of the road. Tierra Grande can only do so much to do what needs to happen. And as much as we'd like to say, let's buy a road grader and go out and do it, that's not what Tierra Grande Improvement Association is about. It's got to go through the county, and your voice, as much as we enjoy hearing it, and we will do whatever we can at our next board meeting, we'll get with Sue and figure out, what we can do. The real gripe is with the county. The real gripe is with the owner of the road, and the road, the owner is the county of Valencia. I appreciate you.
Well, I understand that. I don't like it, but I understand it.
That's where.
I've been round and round with them a few times too. But Sue is the one that we talk to now, because they don't want to talk to me anymore.
She works really hard. She goes to the meetings.
She plays middleman a lot.
Well, Diablo is in really bad shape. It
Well-
needs some help.
Thanks for the comment, and that's somewhere we'll look. And like I said, send that email to Sue if the specific areas you'd like to see worked on, and we'll see what we can do as a board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If no other questions, we'll.
Hi everyone, I'm Ron Robbins. I work for Tierra Grande as their IT and operations. So I'm here to talk about our website changes that we've made recently. So we, listened to what you had to say and tried to make it easier to use. So we've consolidated the information so it's not spread out on duplicate pages. It's just, if you're looking for something, you just have to go to one spot and there it is. That way we don't miss updating it in one spot and not the other. We've added a banner for quick updates to everybody, so it's on every page as soon as you go to our website. That information is right there. We also added a search function, so if you're not familiar with our website but you are looking for something specific, you can just type in the search bar and it'll come up for you. We've also added a link for Zoom for our monthly board meetings to our meetings page. So if anybody wants to attend a monthly meeting, the schedule is on our website and there's a Zoom link. All you have to do is click the link and I'll let you right in. And then the last thing we've done is updated our logo and color schemes to the website for the changes we made to our logo. And then we're open to any other suggestions. I know one that we get a lot is the maps. The maps are bad on our website, hard to read. It's just hard to get good maps that'll fit. So that's something I'm working on. I hope to get that soon. And that's really all I have about our website. Are there any questions about the website or suggestions?
If somebody, for instance, wanted to comment or something through Zoom, how is that done here today, for instance?
On Zoom?
Or ask a question or whatever. So you have a Q&A period, how does somebody through Zoom ask a question?
Yeah, we don't really have that set up yet. I mean, they could type in the chat, but nobody's really monitoring that. I agree. It's something that we're trying to get better at. This is the first annual meeting we've been able to get Zoom actually running. So,
I'm just.
yeah, I get that's a good suggestion.
The whole point of
That's
Zoom is that you can interact, or half
Right.
the point of Zoom. Sorry.
anything else? All right. Who's next? Sue Moran.
Hi, everybody. I'm sure I don't need this, but I'll use it anyways. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me? All right. Well, first off, make sure you've signed up on the sign-up sheets, so we can account for things. Next is, well, I want to send a special thank you to the servers from and the food makers from the Oasis Cafe. They provided So there's plenty of cake left. Please feel free to grab some cake now or on your way out, take it home. And so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. All right, so in your packet, you're going to find the membership brochure. This brochure goes out to everybody who's a new member. It's on our website. But I wanted you really particularly, it's been updated to represent our new logo and stuff. But I want you to pay attention particularly to the last page. All right, so these are the 4 points that this board it's this board's primary responsibilities as your representatives. And from my perspective, they do it well, with great consideration to securing the long-term future of Tierra Grande. So let's talk point 1, monitoring compliance and enforcing the protected covenants. That's number 1. Currently, we're tracking 22 properties that are in the midst of some sort of architectural control review, variance, non-compliance, and liens. During 23, we collected over $4,000 in fees and fines. So you guys may not see some of this stuff, but we're working it behind the scenes. We have renewed 23 liens on properties that are in non-compliance and haven't paid us. We've sent out 12 warning letters and approved 12 different structures during 23. Semi-annually, we contact each of these 22 owners and we request information and updates regarding the status of their covenant-related issues. We don't police the community. We often depend on what you guys tell us. For instance, Joe let us know and Ron let us know just yesterday that somebody brought a tiny home into our community on Manchester Circle. We called the seller, Ron met with the person who brought it in, and he said, oh, he was told this didn't have any covenants and he could do this. I contacted the seller, who was of a real estate contract. I told him, you're responsible for the fines. I'll call code enforcement. He said, it'll be off by next week. Then, just like in May, we had somebody bring another tiny home through our community, cross one of our members' lots, and cut our fence and go into Rio Grande Estates. We called code enforcement, they red tagged that property, and we have placed a lien on that property for the replacement of our fence. So those you may never see because they're getting resolved right away or they're outside of our community. But these are just a few of the issues that we do and resolve. Ron is the chief investigator. You know, we get camping complaints. We get, you know, if somebody wants a camping permit, they're allowed to come out and camp on their property, but we'll let the neighbors know, and they'll have to have a permit. So we do our best to try to be your support and enforce those covenants. The Architectural Control Committee as a whole meets generally annually to review those 22 situations that we're currently tracking to give a status report, or we may do a drive through the community. That happens every couple years. Each of the Architectural Control Committee members is assigned a section of Tierra Grande, and then they drive through. But basically, on the day-to-day basis, you guys are our eyes and ears. So if you see something, say something. Point 2, adopting and publishing rules and regulations governing the use of Tierra Grande property. The board has outlined rules regarding activities that take place in the open space. Oh, Ron, let's just show, Ron, would you show that example of that one resident who will ignore our signs? We have to show you this. This is really It's really important here. So. Okay, so here's a resident, Tierra Grande, coming up to our fence. Right? Just wait. Now he's reading the sign. Yep. And then he's decided, I'm not gonna pay attention. I don't need no pass. That's it. So I thought that was kind of funny. But, so our rules aren't terrible for the open space. Just keep it clean, trudge it in, trudge it out. If you need codes, if you need a pass, Ron's the person. We'll change the gate codes once a year. Just, email us, call us, we'll give it to you. The board has adopted policies for architectural control starting in 2020, which has given us a lot of empowerment to enforce these. And these fees and these fines have worked wonderfully to get people to move along. And it pays for all the work we do. We have to meet lots of HOA, even though we're not an HOA, but HOA laws and regulations. So they've talked about, they've put in policies for liens, foreclosures, grants. I think grants are the best thing we can do to help people and the community. And the board's enhanced Tierra Grande efforts to uphold the protected covenants while remaining a welcoming, supportive community. Again, we're not like the kind of association that says you can't have a flag here, you can't have your garbage can in the front. We're just, site-built home, 2,000 square feet, and don't annoy your neighbors, that kind of stuff. So let us go to point 4, establishing assessments, collecting annual charges, and all other charges referred to in the indentures and covenants. The board's decision in 2019 to increase the assessments in 2020 was difficult, but necessary. It has been 25 years at that point since the assessments have been increased. While Tierra Grande currently has a lot of money received from various partnerships, those funds cannot be used to pay for general operating expenses. Our auditor was clear. Only assessments and interest on assessments collected can be used to fund our day-to-day activity. This is the primary reason the board created a discretionary budget to fund the grants, enhance our entrances, fund projects with the county, improve our roads, replace cattle guards. Point 4, preserving the open space. The board has made every effort to preserve the pristine natural habitat of the open space for your enjoyment. No trespassing signs have been installed at every easement. The combination to the locks is changed annually, and our open space steward, Kim Pravda, works with New Mexico Game and Fish and to assure that no hunting occurs within our footprint. Paying for the construction of water tanks and fire hydrants in 2 strategic locations near the open space, developing agreements with Wildland Fire and local fire department to use our fire hydrants, paying the insurance for the open space, which is almost now $40,000 annually, has really hurt our budget. It is mandatory that, according to our rules and regulations, it's mandatory that we carry insurance. So those are pretty much the things that I wanted to share with you, because I think people think we should be doing more, and we do our best to support you, but these are the rules that the bylaws and the articles of incorporation say are the board's primary responsibilities. And I wanted to add to the road issue about why maybe the county doesn't do a certain road that's on the maintenance list. The county will not go in and blade a road that's on the maintenance list unless you ask for it. So people will email me, Millette needs it, Manzanita, and then I forward it on. But if nobody says Diablo between this and this section, the information doesn't get from me to them. So either you must talk to them directly, or you must email me or call me, and I will make sure it gets to the right people. I can't guarantee it'll get done, but at least then I'm tracking it. So this is the 3rd complaint or the 4th complaint. Now we really have to call the commissioner, or we have to get moving on stuff. So, just to say, it's always, there's only 1.5 of us, out there, and we can't do it all. We will depend on you to communicate with us, because we try our best to communicate and follow up with you guys. So, I think that's all I have for you. Any questions from me? Yes, ma'am.
I read from Mora, coming out of Mora. Here's some information. That there were several spots that were burnt.
Yeah.
What happened?
We don't know exactly, but there was a day, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where someone deliberately set a number of fires along 47, along in our community. And people called us, we called 911, there were quite a few, I think there were 4 or 5.
They must be mad at Tierra Grande because
Yeah, it was right in.
there's none there.
Because
There's
Ron,
none.
didn't another community further up have it too? There was a report that another area in, up also had that experience. So somebody was, angry. Yes,
So, could you tell us where those wells are gonna be? And did she say that the, power company is supplying those wells? I couldn't hear her when she
okay,
was.
hold on one second. All right, so here's Tierra Grande. Okay, you guys are on, the court, right, for the court? Great. All right, so the one is down here on the south side of Fajada, near the footprint of Torino, near the open space. And the other one is up here at Diablo and Military Highway. So a good a good access point for the fire department to get into wildland fire, to help with the roads here, Diablo particularly, and to help with the roads in this area instead of having to trudge it all the way around. So that's where you're going to see some activity on this one already. The fencing should have begun. The well is already there. I would expect by the end of the year we will have the water tank, the fire hydrant, and that's this may take a little longer because we're on a waiting list to get it done. So those are the 2 locations where they're proposed to be. And then we're also, or speaking of this, we're going to put in a request for the annual cleanup in October, the dumpsters. We got complaints from the people who lived down in where it used to be, and so we're gonna move it to here. So as Diablo and Manzanita, or Diablo and Military Highway, because it'll be fenced and it'll have 2 gates, one to enter on off Military, the other to enter off Diablo. So you can go in and out, and there are no real homes in that immediate neighborhood. So I haven't got word whether we got approved for it or not, but I'm hopeful, and I'll send it out in the email blast to you guys. Yes. Yeah.
What is the cleanup again?
I asked for the 2nd or 3rd week in October.
Okay.
But as soon as I get confirmation from the county and the Keep New Mexico Beautiful program, I'll email blast it out to you guys. So hopefully one of those.
Maybe this is unrelated, but it's about beautification in the entrances of the roads.
Okay.
I was wondering if there's a way to get together with people who live on the same roads to kind of talk about what we would like to see happen on our entrance. Because my land is on Diablo as well, and I'm wondering if there's something I should be cognizant of when I'm thinking about what we could do to help out,
Well, the quickest way I'd say is for you to email me.
Okay.
And say, look, I'd like to meet with some of the members who live in the area, and then I'll send it out in an email blast.
Perfect.
And if it's okay for me to share your email, they can email directly with you. If you'd like me to be included after the discussion, that's fine.
Cool.
But keeping that footprint, and we really can't go on the outside, we really can't go on the inside. We have to stay within the road easement itself.
Right, and that's what I was concerned about as well. So that would be great. I'll email you.
Right. And then Ron can tell you that the roads are 24 feet wide, but the easement itself, some are 60, some are like military is 200. So, you know, yeah.
We'll find
So,
out. Thank you.
all right, anything else? Any other questions? All right, going? All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First time I've been here since last year. I can tell by the electric atmosphere in here that this is the highlight of your year. The candidates want you to know that they appreciated your attendance at the many rallies. And if you couldn't get in, it's because of the tight security. Their apologies. Anyway, my vision is handicapped, so I have to use a flashlight. Sue tells me that there's possible 1,650 votes available for an election. In this particular case, there was 182 ballots. There were 230 votes. That's right. And in the win, and the results are Mike Scott, 1 vote. Richard Moore, 237 votes. So he's a new and continuing re-elected director.
All right, so thank you all for joining. We'll open it up for questions, Q&A. We do ask that we'll limit it to 3 minutes per person since we have a big crowd here today. But if you have any questions for me or the board, Sue, we're welcome to discuss it now and try to. So I'll open it up. Yes, Mike?
Check 1, 2. Okay, I'll get to my question here very quickly. You all have copies of this? I don't know if you do or not. There's a little bit of this preamble or background that I've got to cover before I get to my question, so please bear with me. I'm just going to read out of this, basically. Horizon Corporation was required to divest their company from land holdings throughout the western United States by a ruling of the Federal Trade Commission in the early 1970s. When the land that was owned by Horizon Corporation, that because of the FTC ruling, became the Rio Grande Estate subdivision, Horizon was being charged for yearly assessment fees by the Valley Improvement Association, also known as the VIA, which was created because of the FTC ruling for lots that they had not sold. Because Horizon was selling fewer lots, so less income, than they were paying in assessments to the VIA, Horizon was on the verge of bankruptcy and only averted foreclosure by deeding this strip mall that we're in right now, which Horizon owned, over to the VIA to avoid the debt. Soon after this debacle, Horizon Corporation started the Tierra Grande subdivision and the Tierra Grande Improvement Association, also known as TGIA, again, per ruling of the Federal Trade Commission. When so doing, Horizon was very careful to define words commonly found in the dictionary, but specifically regarding assessments that were not required to be paid to TGIA by Horizon for unsold parcels. Assessments were only to be paid by entities after they purchased land from Horizon. I draw your attention to 3 definitions that specify this distinction. And these 3 definitions are in the first page of the indenture. These three definitions coincide with each other, as you'll see shortly. The word lot means any plot of land shown upon any recorded subdivision map of the property, which is Tierra Grande, with the exception of exempt property. Exempt property is a lot which is owned by the grantee, which is Horizon, on which there is no building or structure. And the third definition word is owner. The most important thing is after the semicolon. Provided that the grantee Horizon shall not be considered as the owner of a lot. Now, right up at the beginning here, it says that only the majority owners of lots are able to change the covenants. And I'm headed towards my question here. If Cap Fund, who is a subsequent developer, and the board has agreed that all these developers have subsequent developer status from Horizon, which is why they do not pay assessments. If you do not own any lots, but you only own exempt property, how can you own a majority of lots in a unit to be able to change the covenants? You cannot. Let me finish up here. I think you get where I'm headed with this thing. This only applies basically south of 47 or west of 47, depending on how you want to angle that highway. All the stuff that was on the north or east side of 47 was, well, debatingly, was done legally. The owners of lots were people who purchased parcels from Horizon and then were charged yearly assessments. Unsold property held by Horizon was defined as exempt property and did not require yearly assessment fees to be paid to TGIA, again to avoid bankruptcy as with the Rio Grande estates. Okay, could I have somebody yield their time? There's one right there. And I've got another one who's Greg Outlaw who will yield his time. This gentleman here said he would yield his time. Shield. Okay, do I have enough time? So you want me to shut up? This is the whole problem with you folks from the very beginning. Let's not take any more of my time arguing that, sir. You can ask, yeah, okay, fine. In December of 2012, I attended the monthly meeting of the Board of Directors, 2012, mind you, of the Tierra Grande Improvement Association and explicitly covered the expiration date, section 6.02 of the protective covenants in all of Tierra Grande. That was purposely removed from the protective covenants for years. That section .02 that said these covenants shall be in full force and effect for the 40 years from the date hereof, that section was removed. I was told because people might thought it would be confusing. Yeah, it's quite confusing to find out that your covenants have a sunset date. We don't want people to know that. The voting to extend the protective covenants was performed legally, as I said, in the units north and east of 47. I'm about to get to something else very, very important, so please bear with me. However, Cap Fund signed some document, in other words, voted to extend the covenants into 2013. Past their expiration dates, even though I told the administrator of TGIA that Cap Fund was not allowed to extend the protected covenant. So for over 10 years now, I've been living with this lie. And finally, the last straw for me that made me come up and do this today was this Jeremy Turner of Pattern Energy when they lied to the TGIA board and told the board that the U.S. Bureau of Land Management had determined the route for the second of these three extremely high voltage power lines completely irrelevant when you could just put a solar panel in your backyard versus these bulk energy systems shoving them down these high voltage power lines. So I was not told who signed on the first line. I tracked it down through the county assessor's office in Valencia County. I contacted those people. All of those people were willing to sign. I go to the board and I say, hey, this was done illegally. Jeremy Turner lied to you about this divergent route. We need to put the routes together, and I've got these people willing to sign. The board goes into executive session where we who pay for everything are not allowed to attend, and you voted to go ahead and accept this divergent line. So what you've done now is boxed us in with these poisonous lines that are completely irrelevant, and you claim you're improving this land. You're killing us. It's the same thing with the CO2 line from Kinder Morgan, that Mr. Tibbetts was paid, as a surveyor for that line, for that pipe. Back to the roads and this gravel. The bottom line there, it's crusher fine. That's what you need. You don't need some careful little spray on there. And when Jimmy McKinley was blading the roads, the reason that was stopped is because he did them right. He put a nice big crown in the middle of the road and a proper bar ditch down in the bottom of the road. And you could actually drive up there. Now you were leaning a little bit sideways, oh my God, but at least you could get to work and get home from work every day. Now this business of scraping the top off of that hump in the road there, the crown, and shoving it down into the bar ditch, and having kick-outs, or actually kick-ins, is why these roads fall apart. So it'd be very simple. And by the way, the only two things you folks were supposed to do from the beginning, you folks being the TGIA, were power lines and roads. That's it. And you've turned it into this crap where we're going to be putting LED lights at the entrances to all these things. Really? That's back on when you look at these covenants there, and it talks about servants' quarters. Have you actually read these things, folks? Bottom line is, all of the properties south of 47 or west of 47, however you want to look at that, we do not have any covenants. If you're going to claim that if you're going to claim that these subsequent developers can not pay taxes or assessments, but are allowed to have voting privileges, then look at what they voted in here, Lynn Martin under McKinley. They removed section 5 of the covenants, which had two sentences in there that are pretty critical, especially, Sue, when it comes to people camping on their land, which you put in the last newsletter. It says, no structure of a temporary character, trailer, tent, shack, or other similar structure shall be permitted at any time, either temporarily or permanently. That's gone. That means you can put anything on your property, and you can't do anything about it if you're going to want to say that they can go ahead and continue the covenants or change the covenants. The second line, also just as important. No structure on any lot other than a fully completed residence shall be used as a residence. That means in those units you can build a pup tent or a teepee and live in it, and you can't do anything about it. So you can't have it both ways.
Ask the board the question. Why won't they answer the question? If the majority owner of lots are the only people that can change the covenants, how is Cap Fund able to change the covenants? Would somebody ask the board that? Because they're forcing me to take them to court, which I have to pay for my lawyer and the lawyer that represents these folks, not you, who pay for that lawyer, to take them to court and answer a simple question that I've got right here in everybody's face. Please, ask them to answer the question.
Would you answer the question, please?
We have responded.
No, that's not answering the question. You keep saying, take me to court.
So,
That's not a response. You keep going, members can vote, non-members can't vote. It doesn't have anything to do with my exempt property argument. Answer the question, please.
Thanks, Mike. The board's gonna stay here after the meeting.
So
And
what?
if anybody wants to come up and ask us a question,
Yeah, you don't get that asked in public.
We have all these people here right now as members, and we would all like to have an answer to the question from the board, who is right here and right now?
Please do not.
We're sick of this getting put off. You're here, talk to us.
Sir, can you please tone it down? We do not need to carry on like this.
I'm not carrying on,
Yes,
I'm
you are.
angry.
Yes, you are.
And when I'm angry, I speak up.
Sir, let me speak. There has been multiple answers given to Mr. Scott. He refuses to accept the answer given, so that is why we've advised him to go through the attorney. I will not speak any more on it. I was not here for any of he's talking about. I have been here for 3 years. But I will not sit and listen to this and yelling and carrying on. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. As of today, there will be a board position open for a resident. I have a full-time job and I have a family. And I do not have time to deal with this nonsense. I moved into Tierra Grande 4 years ago, and I thought it was a whole different community than what I've experienced. So as of today, I am resigning my position on the board, and it will be open to residents that feel like Tierra Grande hasn't done a good job for them. It will be 100% opportunity for you to put your hat in the ring. I said next year, but after this nonsense, I say today. Put your hat in the ring and make the change that you want to see in Tierra Grande. I've been here for 3 years, and this is not at all what I thought it was. The community out here was not what I saw.
Honestly, sir,
Thank
it's
you,
not
sir.
at all what it was meant to be.
Have a good day. Thank you.
And that's 32 years
The meeting will
of
be
living
adjourned.
here. Oh, sure.
Thank you for coming. We
Why won't the
appreciate
board
it.
answer the question? You have not answered the question. You keep saying, you take us to court. Let me tell you something real quick.
If you make me take you to court, this is what's going to happen. I've had 3 different lawyers looking at this. If you make me take you to court, I'm going to prevail. And then not only am I going to get all my money back, I'm going to force the judge or ask the judge for you to return the money for everybody since 2013 that's south of 47.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're liars.
They got a lot of money, man. They got money.
How are you going to maintain your nonprofit status there, Mr. Accountant? How are you going to maintain your nonprofit status with all this extra income coming in? Because what's going to happen is they're going to have to justify all this extra money from these stupid power lines that are completely unnecessary. How much money is that, sir, Mr. Accountant, who's ignoring me? Okay, so what they're going to end up having to do is raise reasons to be spending money to justify this income, quote unquote. You see where this is going? And then they're going to actually raise your assessments to keep up with those expenditures once this income is gone.
Wake up.